Oh my God.
Some vehicles caught fire while parked. The engine was turned off. Between 2015 and 2020, more than 3,000 fire reports involving Hyundai and Kia vehicles were analyzed in the United States. Owners were told to park their vehicles outside and away from buildings. More than 8 million vehicles would eventually be recalled. But the first warning did not come from a fire. It came from inside the company. Before the recalls became public, an engineer from Hyundai itself submitted documents to authorities. He reported failures related to engines that, according to his allegation, were not being adequately addressed. Years later, the United States government formally recognized the relevance of the disclosure. The engineer received a reward exceeding $20 million under the Whistleblower Protection Program of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. In 2020, Hyundai and Kia agreed to pay $210 million in penalties for delays and failures in the conduct of the recalls. The case was not only about fires, it was about what was reported internally, when it was reported, and how the information was handled. The engineer was named Kim Gwang-ho. He worked at Hyundai in South Korea. According to later documents, he raised internal concerns related to failures in the Theta II engines. The allegations involved possible manufacturing defects, metal contamination during the production process, and risk of premature engine failure. According to official records, the engineer asserted that the company was not adopting sufficient measures to conduct comprehensive recalls. In 2016, he decided to report the information to authorities in the United States. The disclosure was received by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. In the years that followed, the investigation intensified. Fire reports continued to emerge. Recalls were announced. New models were added. What began as a technical concern started to be analyzed as a possible failure in the management of recalls. In 2020, the NHTSA concluded that there had been delays and incomplete information in the handling of the issue. The result was a $210 million civil penalty agreement. Part of this process included the formal recognition of the engineer's disclosure. The case ceased to be only about an engine. It became about how an organization responds when the warning comes from within. The focus of the investigation centered on a specific line of engines, Theta II, used in multiple models from Hyundai and Kia throughout the 2010s. The issue was not a single external component. It was inside the engine block. During the machining process of the crankshaft, metal particles could remain in the internal lubrication channels. These residues could restrict oil flow to the crankshaft bearings. Without adequate lubrication, premature wear occurred, temperature increased, friction intensified. In more severe cases, the engine could seize suddenly while operating. The seizure could cause block puncture or oil leakage. When oil comes into contact with hot engine surfaces, the risk of ignition increases. Under specific circumstances, this sequence resulted in fire in the engine compartment. The phenomenon was not immediate. It could occur after thousands of miles, without a visible prior warning. In some cases, the engine produced metallic noises. In others, the failure was sudden. The risk was not universal in all vehicles, but it was sufficiently recurrent to motivate successive expansions of recalls. What began as an internal machining issue transformed into a vehicle safety crisis. And from that point forward, the question ceased to be only mechanical. It was about how a manufacturing defect can scale across millions of units before being contained. The first recall did not end the problem. New reports continued to emerge. Additional models were included. Different model years were covered. What initially appeared to be a specific batch began to reveal a broader pattern. Between 2015 and 2019, recalls related to the Theta II engine were expanded in multiple phases. The NHTSA initiated a formal investigation into the handling of the recalls. The issue was no longer only the defect, it was the response time. Authorities analyzed. When the company became aware of the failures, when decisions were made, and whether the information was fully reported to regulators, internal documents were requested, timelines were reconstructed. The investigation began to examine whether there had been delays in adopting corrective measures. In 2020, the NHTSA announced a formal agreement with Hyundai and Kia, the so-called consent order. The agreement included $210 million in civil penalties, independent monitoring, and additional requirements for compliance and reporting. Part of the penalty was suspended conditioned upon compliance with future obligations. The case ceased to be a technical crisis. It became a matter of governance. The focus was not only what failed, but whether the response was adequate and whether it was timely. As the recalls expanded, the impact ceased to be localized. Vehicles were recalled in different markets: United States, South Korea, Canada. Other countries began to review models equipped with the Theta II engine. The total volume of affected vehicles exceeded 8 million units globally. The costs included repairs, engine replacements, warranty extensions of up to 10 years in some markets, compensation programs for owners. The $210 million agreement with the NHTSA represented only part of the financial impact. Total costs associated with recalls and accounting provisions were estimated in the billions of dollars over the years. But the impact was not only financial. The image of reliability of both brands was called into question. The crisis occurred at a time of global expansion, high growth targets, consolidation in the North American market. The case came to be cited as an example of risk associated with large-scale manufacturing processes. The defect was not visible to the consumer, it was inside the engine, and the consequence became visible only when the failure occurred. The episode reinforced a principle. In mass production, a small deviation can scale across millions of units, and the cost of containment grows proportionally to the response time. The Theta II engine was not a rare component. It was a mass production project, manufactured in different facilities, installed in millions of vehicles, distributed across multiple markets. In global industrial systems, quality control does not depend on a single decision. It depends on processes, on standards, on continuous oversight. In the case of the Theta II, the initial deviation was in the machining process. Metal particles could remain in the internal lubrication channels. In a single engine, that is a risk. In thousands, it is a problem. In millions, it is a crisis. Large-scale production amplifies any variation. What begins with micrometers of metal residue can end in millions of recalled vehicles. The episode revealed the fragility of complex systems when control processes are not absolutely rigorous. In modern industrial environments, cost and speed are constant variables. But the margin for error decreases as volume increases. The Hyundai and Kia case showed that. In the era of global production, a manufacturing defect does not remain local. It scales, it crosses borders, and it transforms an internal process into an international regulatory event. The issue was not only an engine, it was the capacity to detect, contain, and correct a deviation before it multiplied. In high-scale industrial systems, quality is not a final result. It is a continuous discipline. And when that discipline fails, the impact is not linear. It is exponential. The Hyundai and Kia case was not merely an engine crisis, it was a test of responsibility at global scale. In an industrial system capable of producing millions of vehicles per year, a small deviation can multiply at a speed proportional to volume. The defect was not visible to the consumer. It was not on the surface. It was inside the engine. But the central question was not only mechanical, it was institutional. When a warning emerges within an organization, how is it treated? When the first reports reach the regulator, what is the response time? In global production, quality is not optional, it is systemic. The episode reinforced a principle. Scale amplifies both success and error. The Theta II engine became a study of how internal processes can transform into federal investigations and how a manufacturing deviation can cross borders before it is contained. In complex systems, responsibility does not end on the production line. It continues in oversight, in governance, in the capacity to act before risk becomes public. The archive remains open. Subscribe to this channel to follow the next documented case.